Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are going to be taking a first look at an upcoming DLC for Panzer Corps 2. It is Frontlines Cyrenaica? Yeah. Anyway, this is a DLC that comes out on March 11th, so it is still a few days away, and we're going to be playing from the British point of view. So there's some interesting elements to this DLC that are different from what they've done before, and one of those is that you can actually play this campaign, which focuses sort of on the desert in 41? Primarily the Italian attempt to invade Egypt, right? And so before the Africa Corps really shows up, before Rommel's famous campaigns, this is a campaign where the Italians invade Egypt and they attempt to conquer that for their empire. Now, or do we call it an empire for the Italian state? Now, what's unique about this particular DLC is that you can play this from either side. So we previously played Operation E in the sponsored video that went up on my YouTube channel a couple of days ago. And so today, we're going to be playing Operation Compass, which I believe is the same campaign, the same scenario, except now it's being played from the British point of view. So the British had a lot of Vickers Mark II vehicles, but they didn't really have much of any tanks. I think they had one tank unit. The Italians had some legitimate tank units, but they're Italian tanks. So, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays when you flip it on its head and say, okay, now you get to play the other side of the same scenario, and see what comes of it. So you can see command, take control of the British Army in the daring Operation Compass. The fate of North Africa is in your hands. Choose your side and shape the course of the campaign. So let's go ahead and take a look. After 6 months, 1940. After September 13th, 1940. After months of rumors and speculations, Italy decides to become heavily involved in World War II by invading Egypt, which is under British control. The Italian plan of attack includes a rapid advance to catch the British by surprise, with the first stop being the city of Solom. From there, they aim to establish a bridgehead in the region. So, same battle, it would appear, fought from the perspective of the British, and so we shall see how that all unfolds. Hope you're all having a wonderful night or day, depending on when you're watching this. Now, from the British point of view, I'm thinking we want to go with... Do we go with Deep Recon for our specialty trait? Map around all primary objectives is permanently revealed. Yeah, that seems useful. I don't really want to capture... So for the Italians, we did trophies of war, but I don't really want to capture Italian stuff. Okay. I don't know. I guess Deep Recon and maybe Deadly Grasp, so the enemy takes more casualties when they're surrounded, and then also we get better intel around the objectives. Although Deep Recon will be less relevant when we're on the defensive. I do know this leads into the counterattack, so I'm assuming we'll go with that. I don't think we'll take any negative traits this time around. There's nothing over here that I desperately want. This guy looks like the actor in Bosch. I don't know his name, but... shadowy figure. Solom, Egypt, 13th September, 1940. Good morning, Commander. Time is short, so I'll spare you the formalities. The Italians have made their move, crossing into Egypt of this morning. Their plan is as bold as it is predictable. March along the coast, seize our settlements, and push through to the heart of Egypt. Mussolini's counting on a quick and tidy victory, but we'll see about that. Mussolini counting on a quick, tidy victory is a recipe for it not to be a quick, tidy victory, right? They thought Ethiopia would be a quick, tidy victory. They thought Egypt would be a quick, tidy victory. They thought Yugoslavia and Greece might be a quick, tidy, well, probably more Greece, would be a quick, tidy victory. If you're Mussolini and you think it's going to be a quick, tidy victory, plan for the opposite. Anyway, we'll give them a proper fight, no mistake. Mossad has woken up to the sound of heavy Italian bombardment this morning. We could strike back at with our aircraft and artillery, but the blasted dust is being kicked up and making it difficult for a clear shot. Our chaps' high alert dispatches have already gone out along the Libyan border. Our chaps are on standby, itching to give the Italians a run for their money once we've got a clear target in their sights. I'm curious, are there the missing Italian troops like there were on the Italian side? Presumably. Hopefully the AI doesn't find them. The briefing will be handled by General O'Connor, who will provide operational details. Thank you, General Wavell. We are operational in the field and ready to face the invasion. Let's get to the tactical briefing. Your orders are simple. Hold the line and defend all the key British settlements in the region. Hold Solom. That's the primary objective. Oh, also control Fort Capuzzo. So we don't want to lose either of these two southernmost objectives. If I were to hazard a guess about the enemy's strategy, it's likely they're aiming to advance across the coastal route. It's likely they will send a detachment from the base at Bardia. However, there's a few other matters to consider. Mossad's already feeling the heat and won't be able to withstand a major land attack. Stiff upper lip and all that, but we need to be practical. Our air reconnaissance reports show scattered Italian detachments wandering about in the western open desert. If you can catch them out in the open and manage to destroy them, it'll prevent them from joining the main attack. Okay. Hold Mossad until turn 12. Spot the enemy and destroy Italian units and get additional prestige. Now about the defense. So, by the way, that's a pretty cool little sort of like hold until a date. Reminds me of, I don't know if any of you ever played Order of Battle Pacific, which was also made by Slytherin. They dropped the Pacific and just became Order of Battle when they started doing a bunch of DLC that brought the game to Europe. But originally, when the game launched, it was Order of Battle Pacific. That was the name. And they had a lot of those kind of turns early in the war because the Japanese were advancing and you were playing like Bataan or Manila and you were playing as the Americans. So the objective stopped being, you have to take this objective and win. The objective became, you have to hold this objective until this date and then fall back and whatnot. I like that mechanic. I think that's a very nice sort of tidy twist on the head, if you will, of the traditional sort of Panzer General style of game, which is what this is obviously based after. So that's a nice little touch. But anyway, now about the defensive. This borderline between Libya and Egypt, this little red line, our outposts in Libya aren't exactly bristling with reinforcements and will be vulnerable to large-scale assault. I'm not holding at Tafud. However, we can rely on our well-placed artillery and air support to slow their advance. Should the border be breached, the final stand will be at Solom. To defend the city, we could take advantage of this elevation to control the major roads and limit transit of armored vehicles. Okay, but if they get back toward the Solom barracks, we've already lost. We've got to defend out toward Capuzzo. So I think this plateau and this circle here, and then also Mossad are the main objectives to hold. Use the high ground in the middle here, and then defend Mossad, and then use this high ground also to block the drive on Solom. I think that has to be the strategy. Do not defend in the flat plains in front of Capuzzo. That would be my guess. Italian air support is limited for now, at least until they can manage to take Mossad Airport. Plan your deployments carefully and don't let them catch us napping. You have your orders. Now give the Italians a good thrashing and show them a bit of British grit, eh? A spot of dust won't be enough to break through our lines. Dismissed. Okay. We have a couple of heroes we can assign. Double attack. Nice. That's a useful trait. Who would we want to give a double attack trait to? We do actually have a couple of Matilda. I don't remember fighting. Maybe there was one British Matilda. It's already got a hero, too. I'm inclined to do a hero, the double attack hero, with my artillery, because I don't know how much I'm going to be attacking with my infantry units. Well, we do have some air units too. What's the other remaining hero? What's their trait? Hidden run? What does that mean? When attacking enemy unit with lower initiative, do not shoot back. Interesting. Maybe that's less relevant for... I guess that could be relevant for air power. I don't know what kind of initiative the Italian air power has, but it'd be great to be able to destroy a bunch of enemy air units. Meanwhile, we do have 6 core slots available. We do have 3,000 prestige, so we can go ahead and do that. We could also upgrade some of these units we have too, so that we fight with better units than, you know, the British had in the game where we played. Recon cars. So the Vickers is technically a tank, which I would never really consider it that. But anyway, so if we upgrade from the Vickers to another Matilda, it doesn't change the cost. They're both 2 prestige, or they're both 2. Interesting. Obviously much better. Worse fuel-wise, but otherwise better. Worse movement, but I can live with that, I think. I could overstrength some units, which would give us, you know, stronger defenses, but I'm a little worried about how that would play from a... Oh yes, Hurricane, please. Screw the Gladiator. Give me a goddamn Hurricane every day of the week. I'll pay prestige for that. The Italian Air Force is going to be in for a rude awakening compared to what I had to face. And thank you very much for the follow, Fatalists. All right. Maybe purchasing another artillery unit to place near Mosaid. I don't know. And then we don't really know where the bad guys are in the desert, other than they're in the desert, because I didn't actually find them as the Italians. Those are heavy infantry. Can we upgrade this recon car at all? I've got one more core slot to play with. They use more slots. They're worse pretty much in every way. Maybe we'll make these infantry better, or we could just overstrength the unit. Commandos! Honestly, I think we should upgrade them to heavy infantry and then overstrength them. Okay. Hurricane, you know, shot down most of the bombers in the Battle of Britain anyway. Alright, so that maxes out our core slots. I don't have anything to deploy, so let's go ahead and end the deployment phase and see what the Italians have in store for us. So they're going to bomb my artillery, and they use the recon to find it there. Are they already flanking that first outpost? Huh. How far can my Hurricane fly? It can get there. Do I not have as much initiative as the enemy? Because this is my Hurricane who's supposed to have the initiative. Alright, we're going to deal with some enemy escorts because I couldn't quite get there. But we at least did damage to them. Let's soften up that artillery. And my artillery unit here is the hero that lets him shoot twice. Is that enemy fighter in reach of this? Just barely. Should we go send our recon guy out to see where the bad guys are? There's one of them. Go bomb them. Alright, let's swing these guys up onto the... You have the high ground, Anakin. Alright, let's get these guys up onto the high ground north of Solom to make sure they don't get pushed through. I don't love these odds for any of these troopers. I guess 0 to 1 couldn't... Can I get around him and surround him? Because we do have that perk if we surround the enemy that... Is this not encircle? Do we not get to encircle guys on the defensive? Well, shoot. Alright, he could go and attack my artillery. So let's move this guy down here. There we go. We get an encircle there. Alright. So my recon car should block his advance here. I'm kind of tempted to have these guys pull through the town and just attack these guys directly, because Tafud is not an objective we need to hold. We're slightly entrenched, but we're not in the high ground, so I kind of would rather move out of the town and hit these guys from the heights. Yeah, we're going to take huge casualties, but so do the enemy. That objective is not important. Alright, so let's go ahead and end this turn. We found one of the hidden enemy tanks, and now he's going to move forward on us. I was hoping they would kind of remain disabled and not aggressive, but it looks like the isolated unit did move forward on us and did attack, although as a result it can't reinforce, and that took pretty heavy casualties. The recon car withdrew and reinforced, so that guy's going to be okay, I guess. Enemy artillery on these heights. I wonder if that's one of the isolated units. That's the difference when you're playing as the AI. I didn't have a chance to fight with the isolated units because I didn't control them. Alright, I need to move this plane forward. It can't do anything back here, really. Alright, let's see if we can shoot down this enemy fighter. It'll be close. Not quite. There we go. An Italian dispersed unit has been destroyed. Prestige gained, 250. Remaining units, 2. So we got one of them. So we got these troops that are kind of up here on their own, so we'll reinforce them on the high ground. Hopefully they can hold out. They did take this objective, but again, that was never really the concern. Ooh, 2 to 5. This is not one of the isolated units. Hey, we found another... I think this is another one of the isolated units, or maybe the enemy unisolated them or something. Okay. I'm just wondering if instead of pushing through this high ground, I might actually be better off moving these tanks around this way. They can come up and help from the back. Also, moving this artillery forward, if we're going to really make our defensive on near Musaid, I think it makes more sense, perhaps, to push this artillery forward. Can I not upgrade these guys to having trucks? Sure would be nice to give them trucks. Can't do the regular... I can't do the half-tracks, but I can do the trucks. Give them a little bit of mobility. Thank you for the bits, Como. Appreciate it. Alright, is that everybody who I want to move? Pretty much. I guess I could move this recon car forward. All right. See if they go after the troops of ours here on these heights. Looks like they're going to. So they're going after us with their recon truck. Drove our troops off the heights. And pursued them with another recon unit. But in theory, that's slowing up their advance a little bit. Gonna bomb that artillery. AI still needs to do a better job of don't. Maybe they don't have the prestige. I don't know, but don't not reinforce. Oh, is there a bad guy here? What's with the zone of control? What's going on here? That was weird. All right. Can I undo that? Right, so our fighters here go finish off the enemy. I wonder if that's another one of the... It doesn't have the, like, fully suppressed icon that the other guys do. Aw. Because we forced this artillery to retreat, we get penalized saying they rescued them? Did they, though? Or did I just destroy them? Like, congratulations, you retreated to your rescue? Like, what? Alright, let's attack these guys. Move these troops back into the town. Gonna put a blocking force on these heights. Possibly advance them out toward the outpost. Congratulations, you retreated to death. Yeah, I mean, basically. Okay, we'll move that artillery forward, hopefully to provide some cover for our troops on the heights to the north of Musaid. But this defense to me, and we'll see, because obviously it's still early, but I'm kind of feeling like a forward defense is our best approach. Obviously the recon units are kind of interdicting us a bit, but moving forward to me feels, you got to try and I think, and I'm speaking like someone who knows what he's talking about, you got to try and isolate the two halves of the Italian force, the left wing and the right wing. Although there's a lot more troops coming up on that left wing than I anticipated, but we'll see. Anyway, we did lose a unit, so I can also buy a new one because I've got the prestige to spare. Okay. Okay, drove those guys back. I don't see any enemy aviation. Maybe we can destroy this guy here. Yeah, I got him. going to attack those tanks with our air power. Weaken them a bit. Okay. Drive those enemy infantry back. Okay. Move our heavy infantry out into the desert to hit these Italian infantry, and wow, did we give them a thorough thwacking. All right, let's go ahead and buy some more infantry. Overstrength them slightly. Where can I place them? Can I not deploy new troops? Oh, here we go. Oh, they can only deploy to the rear. I was hoping I could deploy them straight into this outpost. But in any event, it doesn't really matter. Alright. So let's go ahead and end the turn. So they're going to pull their recon car back to reinforce. Wow, they attacked by Matilda with a recon. Oh my goodness. It did some damage. I'm going to keep bombing that artillery. Using artillery intelligently to weaken my heavy infantry outside the outpost. And then, frankly, just try to overwhelm it, which they're doing a decent job of. Now, I'm committing an awful lot of troops forward here, but again, the objective is to hold Musaid until turn 12 for the bonus objective. I did surround my tank there. Hope it doesn't surrender. You know, they overran the recon car there. Damn. Alright, well, these guys have a lot more strength than I did when I played as the Italians. They got a lot more units. Similar scenario, but definitely not the same scenario. Okay. They're definitely trying to flank me here. All right, I'm going to try and pull this guy back, but maybe he can destroy the enemy first. He does. Good job. Now pull back. Oops. So we'll spend 1 point to attack once and the other to reinforce. Alright, finished off that enemy infantry unit and then retreated. We did have another unit destroyed, so we could purchase another one. Okay. We've we got plenty of money from the one... I mean, frankly, from the starting amount, and then also the headquarters unit that we destroyed. Or not the headquarters, but the isolated unit we destroyed. Curious if their tanks come down to try and take out my artillery. The artillery on these heights is vulnerable. Alright, they're going to go after my artillery. It's interesting that I almost never, and maybe it's just because the recon unit has some sort of, like, bonus, and I didn't use my fighters there. That was a mistake. But I almost never see enemy... I almost never see friendly artillery fire in support. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's just an initiative thing, like maybe the recon units are just better. I'm not sure. Don't retreat into the enemy position, you silly recon car. Oh, please survive, Matilda. You've gained valuable experience. I don't want you to die yet. Alright, there you go. You did survive. Alright, can we take out this enemy bomber, or at least seriously weaken him? Okay. Oh, we didn't destroy him. Well, shoot. Are these guys just out of my command? I'm not really sure why. Darn, I was just hoping that maybe the artillery would be able to finish those guys. Okay. Can we undo that? I don't want to move them quite up there. If they can't move there and attack, I'll move these guys to the left. Hey, they got out of there. At least for now. Good job, recon car. You know, the one bad thing about leaving the whole rear of my position exposed, hey, there we got a fire in support, is that these enemy units, they have a lot of recon units that I could certainly swing in behind me and take some of these objectives as we leave them unguarded. I was moving my artillery unit forward, hoping that it would be able to engage that enemy tank, but they've got a lot of infantry back there backing it. Must have just been a recon car thing where they were able to move without being attacked. A lot of enemy units, though. They're really swarming through here. Why would they do that? Well, they got themselves killed. Right, we reinforced our fighters. You gotta get in front of this recon car. Okay. Attack. I have the high ground. You're goddamn right I do. Oops. Didn't mean to double click that, but I'm going to pull that artillery back a little bit. Okay, drove those guys back. Hopefully no one's coming far to the right towards Solom from the other direction. Nice. Drove them back. Moved up on the high ground. Thought we'd finish them off. Didn't. Oh well. He'll reinforce for sure. I think that's it for this turn. Turn number 8. We're halfway through. Oh, they drove my artillery back for sure. Or nearly destroyed it. Recon car. No! Fort Capuzzo falls! We gotta retake that. Actually, ironically, it doesn't fail my secondary objective because I'm still grouped around Musaid. Nice. 2 artillery shots and support. Cavalry really didn't do much to help either. Oh, they're going to finish off that artillery for sure. They do. They get an overrun too, so they could attack again. I don't know that they have the movement points too. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Alright, so I can't get to the enemy recon car with my tanks here. Alright, so I get an attack, destroy the enemy cavalry. Wow, those dudes just like dead-legged. Thank you very much for the subscription, Tech Cyborg. Alright, what can I do here? Okay, so we are badly mauling their infantry up here to the north, at least. Driving that cavalry back, nearly destroying that infantry unit. There we go. Destroyed that enemy armor. Destroyed that enemy tank. Alright, let's go take Capuzzo back. We at least drove the recon car out, and actually I can retake it immediately. With my own recon vehicle. And drove right back. The recon vehicles are, you know, I'm used to these games having these types of games having very weak recon units, which is kind of an interesting change of pace. Because the recon units in this game are pretty good. Alright, we have quite a few infantry still. So let's go ahead and get a... Is a Crusader better than a Matilda? Against infantry, it sure is. Not so much against armor, but you know what? That's okay. Let's do a cruiser. I can purchase it and deploy it right on the objective point, which is where the enemy recon already is. Nice. Where's that other missing enemy unit? I wonder if it's like south of the objectives. Maybe they don't activate until you attack them. Maybe that's why their armor activated before. Okay, they're going to drive that anti-tank gun back. What was that unit there? Infantry? Okay. There we go. Overrun, drive back. Let's see if our recon can find anything back here. Nothing that I can see. There you go, heavily suppressed. No, we could retake that objective. It's not really an objective, but we could do it. Give us a little bit of free prestige there. Reinforce the anti-tank gun on the heights. Drive the enemy infantry back to the north of the outpost. Maybe break their whole right flank. Alright, infantry versus infantry. It's a good result for us there. Let's go ahead and hit their recon vehicle up here. My infantry can finish it off. Oh, I thought it would. Got it. So they still have troops back there. It wouldn't shock me if their reinforcements are coming down or something. I don't have great odds versus that infantry to the right of Musaid. Nearly destroyed that bomber. Is that everybody? I mean, these guys could move and attack. Let's do this. Let's have these guys move up here and attack. What are these Italian regular infantry or... I don't want to leave the objective unguarded though. So we'll pull these guys back into it. Rather than finishing off the enemy. Alright, there's their... I think that was their last lost unit there. We must have gotten close enough that it somehow triggered. Bunch more recon units showing up to the outpost in the north. Cavalry's trying to bypass us, perhaps, and go for Solium. Seems to be maybe that's how some of their units are coded. If you find a break, exploit it. Bunch more troops coming down from the north. Didn't destroy it. Can this air unit reach it? Finish it off? There we go. 250 additional prestige for the second enemy air unit, or isolated unit, destroyed. Okay. Got that enemy infantry. Throw those guys back. Alright, I'll get the, I'll destroy them, get the overrun. I'll take those heavy casualties just to weaken that strong enemy unit up. Little nervous about that enemy. Kind of leaking out behind me. Can we finish that guy off at least? Almost. Alright. Turn 11. Musaid still has not fallen. We did lose the one objective temporarily, but then immediately retook it. Enemy cavalry is definitely riding south toward an objective I have no troops defending. He will get there before my boys do. Okay, they surrendered or whatever. Push toward that first outpost they took back from us, I guess. Okay, finished off that enemy infantry. So if he moves them, he can't at least reinforce them. So I can bomb them so that then hopefully I can swing in and counterattack him before he can take the objective. And maybe we can aid in the defense of this artillery piece or anti-tank unit with my own artillery. Turn 12. I don't know if the AI has magical knowledge that Solom is unguarded, or if it's just programmed to make that sweep. They didn't move. They reinforced instead of moving. Interesting decision. Not one I would have thought the AI would make. There we go. Destroyed them before they got to the objective. Alright, let's get this enemy artillery for sure. Ah, oh, it's just out of range. Drove that enemy armor back off the plateau. Okay. All right, we took back the first outpost. I think they've kind of shot their bolt. All right, so we got a new hero. He's an Avenger, a Provocateur, and First Strike. There's only 3 turns left in this battle. Give my fighters some target practice here. bombers. Alright, drove back that enemy armor. Destroyed their tanks. I wish my... Thank you for the sub. Koa Kicker. Appreciate it. Monolith, yeah, I guess they stay on the screen if that's what you mean. Like you can still see them. You can see their burnt out husks. I think they fade over time. This isn't everything that's been destroyed. I don't know how the game decides that. Okay, so I've shifted my troops around here, so they're on the high ground here, so I don't think the enemy can get to me that way. I don't know that the enemy really has much left to throw at us from the left. But yeah, barring some like mistake where I leave something unguarded and somehow they swing out of nowhere, I don't think they can beat me at this point. Although, as I say that, they move troops into that airfield that I left unguarded. I'll take it back, don't worry. But I will lose the proximity of that air support real quick. I don't think they'll have the zone of control to swing in behind me and retake the airfield. Oh, that's a bad odd. I don't want to attack there. Lots of artillery there on those boys. Yeah, I think they may just get like sort of persistent reinforcements. That's almost what it feels like. They just seem to periodically get more and more troops. Okay. Attack there. We'll reinforce these guys. All right. 2 more turns. Yeah, it looks like they got a whole new army. To be fair, the Italians do, at least when you play as the Italians in this scenario, they do have quite a bit of prestige to throw around. I mean, both sides do in this first mission. Alright, they surrendered. Nice. Move my own troops up into the high ground. Can we finish off that infantry? Yes. Alright, my own air power got pushed back to the reserve airfield. That's what we want to call it. Look at all that infantry coming back down from the north. They obviously built a whole new force. I'm sorry, guys. Hauser, can you get rid of that guy? Thank you for being around. I wasn't sure if you were. I wasn't paying close attention to the chat. Playing with the food, Hauser. You're not finished, Jaguar. You're not feline. Alright, they may destroy that infantry unit up there, but it's a distraction. Last turn coming up. Did I ever play North Attack at Dawn, North Africa? Yes, I did. I believe I've made some videos on the channel for that. I thought it had a very unique art style. I enjoyed it. You know, the mechanics weren't as polished as maybe a more experienced developer would have, but I think that's, you know, it was a small, like, 1 or 2 man. I think it was really just one guy. I thought it was good. You know, I'm sorry that it didn't have the financial success you would hope. Obviously, since they made the decision to pivot away from North Africa for their next game, but I'm glad they're making another game. Okay. Alright, I think the enemy does get to attack one more time. Move my tanks up there. Maybe they can save that infantry unit up here. They've got almost a full star. They're worth saving. Oh, wait, no, actually, I think this is it. I don't think the Italians get to play another turn. Because they went first, right? I think. So once I hit end turn, it may be over, which would be great. Yay! Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me about Attack at Dawn was just the art style was brilliant. I loved the look of that game. The campaign was pretty neat, too. All right, Commander's Spider Spec, our best ever. Really? Has it? That feels a little bit forced. Despite our best efforts, Solom has fallen to the Italians. Really? Because I'm pretty sure we got him on the run, but whatever. Our men fought bravely, holding the line as long as possible, but the enemy's overwhelming numbers proved too much. The Italian advance was relentless, and our defenses were stretched thin across the desert. We could not withstand their sheer force. I suppose these troops are fought out and now withdrawing, and then they took it after we fell back. You can make that argument. Among the ranks, there's a palpable sense of disbelief. The thought of being overrun by the Italians, who, let's be honest, aren't exactly renowned for their military prowess, has left many scratching their heads. By all accounts, the Italian organization was more a shambles than a well-oiled machine. Their victory came from persistence rather than any real strategic skill. The desert terrain, which we had hoped would work in our favor, did little to slow them down. They advanced in waves, leaving us no option but to retreat and minimize casualties. We must regroup quickly. Solom may be lost, but the fight for Egypt continues. One thing is clear, the Italians will keep relying on their numerical advantage, and we must adapt to stand our ground. Moving forward, we'll redeploy to Haifa, Helfaya, where our task will be to defend the pass that bears its name. It is absolutely vital that we hold that position to prevent the enemy from regrouping their forces. The stakes are rather high, and we must ensure that the Italians do not gain any further momentum. With a bit of grit and determination, we can turn the tide. All right, well, victory for me anyway, even if we have to withdraw. Should I do Panzer General 2 for my next retro game? I think we're done with Panzer General 1. I never really played Panzer General 2 growing up. I played Panzer General 1, and that was about it. I heard from others that Panzer General 2 was great years later. That being said, guys, that is going to do it for today. I will save this in the event I decide to come back to it. I do enjoy that. This is an interesting little DLC. It does come out on the 11th of March, so just a few days away. And I think we're going to call that a night. I got to get a little bit more sleep here. But Stein, thank you for the resub. And Kawa Kicker also. Keygasm, thanks for the bits. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks again for coming out. Until next time, as always, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out. Bye-bye.